moving towards it with a global integration, implementing green technologies, and moving to the renewable resources would ultimately.
Well, I'll extend my question. What is your view, your take on the government's initiatives to preserve environment in Pakistan?
Sir, I believe government has taken very positive initiatives in this regard. If we look at the billion tree tsunami project and the solar power plants and sir, other multiple projects that include the environmental conservation, the strengthening of environmental protection agencies, the EIA's procedures, I believe Pakistan's government has taken very significant steps. Being the seventh most vulnerable country to the climate change, Pakistan is yet playing a very significant role. And even if we consider the dilapidated condition of Pakistan's economy, then I believe the steps taken by the Pakistan's government would be magnified.
Right. That will do.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Jawad, coming from Lahore.
Yes, sir.
18th Constitutional Amendment is considered to be a landmark as far as constitutional amendments in Pakistan is concerned. What do you think, why it is so significant, and why at this point of time there are voices against it also?
So as regards its significant, it is one of the major point in Pakistan's history in which Pakistan has decentralized its power and implemented the true essence of democracy. But sir, ultimately, Pakistan has to look forward to it by implementing the local government system, which the Constitution of Pakistan allows it in the form of Article 140A and 32. Because 18th Amendment without the local governments is like a skeleton without a soul. That is why I think this is the major issue, why there are questions over the 18th Amendment. So sir, it is not the 18th Amendment which is hampering the Pakistan's democracy, rather it is the democratic, I'm sorry sir. Should I continue, sir? Rather, sir, it is the democratic culture, the lack of democratic culture and understanding, and the lack of local governments, which is not ultimately helping us to generate future leaders. This is why there are multiple questions over the 18th Amendment, sir.
Can you analyze the impact of international policies of President Trump on the world?
Sir, as regards President Trump, sir, US decided to go back to the protectionist policies. And sir, most of the people compare it with the Monroe Doctrine. But sir, if we compare them and contrast them, this time US was playing a major role as a superpower. And sudden pullback from the global politics and the global roles would eventually have resulted into a power vacuum. And that is why there were some chances of multilateralism and a chaos. But with right after the president and Mr. Joe Biden's office, I believe the US will realize its role and return to all the agreements, including JCPOA, TPP, NAFTA, and Afghan peace process. So I believe, sir, if we analyze Mr. Trump's policies, they might have been lucrative for the US, but not for the globe. But keeping in view the globalized world, I believe the democratic's point of view would be more lucrative for the world, sir.
What is CASA 1000?
So CASA 1000 stands for Central Asia, South Asia. It is basically an energy project between Pakistan and Tajikistan. And so there is one very interesting thing about it, that Pakistan would be importing energy through Afghanistan, which will only be in the summer season. Pakistan falls short of the electricity in summers, whereas Tajikistan has an ample electricity in summers.
Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan, two countries, because they have plenty of water in summers.
I didn't know of it, sir. Thank you so much for the valuable addition. And sir, Pakistan would import the energy in summers, whereas in winters, because Tajikistan and both of these Central Asian countries produce energy through hydroelectric power. And in winters, due to the summer caps, due to the winter caps and glacial icebergs, they are not able to produce the same amount of energy, which will ultimately help
Where
Pakistan.
does 1000 figure in all this?
Sir, it is basically used for 1000 megawatts. Pakistan would be
Some
importing
part for Afghanistan? And
yes,
some
1000 megawatts.
Okay.
How many surahs are there in Holy Quran?
So there are 114 surahs in Holy Quran.
You should be telling us.
Yes, sir, there are 114.
Okay. What is the length of Pak-Iran border?
Uh, Sir, if you allow me to answer it with a margin of 20 kilometers error, it is between 940 to 960 kilometers.
805.
Does it fluctuate? It's,
805.
it is a fixed anyway.
Okay. Now coming on to our own region, what do you think? What are the specific issues between India and Pakistan, and resolving those core issues, we can have better relations with India?
Sir, I believe there are, as regards the current issues, I believe one issue that both of the countries have not been able to realize is that they share the same history and they share the same future, and this is a major issue that they don't realize the fact. And sir, as regards the boundary issues and the other issues, Pakistan and India have issue over Kashmir, and recently India's move to abrogate Article 370 has further deteriorated and hampered the situation. And sir, then the Siachen issue over the glacier Saltoro Ridge and the line NJ9842. And sir, moving downwards, then there is a Sir Creek issue. And sir, moving further downwards, then there is the marine issue between the coastal boundaries, because Indian submarines have shot Pakistan practicing airplanes. So there exists an ambiguity and the lack of understanding between the both countries that they share the same future and they must develop collectively.
I would like to have your analysis on textile exports of Pakistan.
Sir, Pakistan's textiles exports have always played a very significant role in Pakistan's economy, and for that, the textile hub, which is Faisalabad, is also called the Manchester of Pakistan. But sir, unfortunately, due to the electricity shortfall and the electricity issues, the textile sector has been facing multiple issues. And in order to meet the international quality standards, our major textile sector is now shifting to Bangladesh. I believe these are some major issues. I possess a limited knowledge to comment further on it.
One
sir.
last question.
Sure, sir.
Which is the biggest cricket stadium in Pakistan?
Sir, if I'm not wrong, is it Karachi, sir?
You are right.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, time to wind up. Let's have our views. Could you please share your views, findings about the gentleman?
Okay, Jawad has a good communication skill. He talks well, talks quite well, communicates quite well. Secondly, he has appropriate analytical capability. He analyzes things quite properly, goes into details, and tries to satisfy the panel. Another positive thing about him is that he has a good grasp on facts and figures also. While elaborating his answer, he gives facts and figures also. He has, since he's born in Lahore also, he has good knowledge about Lahore also. And especially about Maltown also. We did talk about the prominent personalities living in Maltown, and he had a good answer on that. These were the strengths that he had. Only one negative thing, that he doesn't stay as relevant as he should. So that's the only negative thing about him. Thank you.
Okay. Hasan Iqbal Sahab, aapke
Thank you,
views.
sir. I think Jawad has a good personality. He spoke very well, and on some of the issues he presented a very good analysis also. And as the honorable member said, he gives supporting facts and figures also. That way, I think he's a good candidate, and particularly at this young age, I think he displayed himself in a very nice manner, which must be given due weighting.
How would you rate him? Let's say on a count of 1 to 10.
I think he should be closer to, he should be in between 7 and 8.
7 and 8.
7 and 8. But on the negative side, I would say that he could not engage the panel as a whole. He has been focusing merely on one member who was asking him the question. He should have engaged the panel well. His eye contact should have been a little better the way
but
he
then
had
a
the
little
knowledge.
bit more improved.
Thank you very much.
Good.
Ashraf sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I observed that he has a good, confident personality. He was confident. His command of English is also good. And his general knowledge was also good. But as my worthy colleague has said, that he at times gets a little irrelevant. Otherwise, overall, I would really gauge him between 7 and 10. Then his hand gestures need to be a little, adjusted and corrected. Secondly, as you mentioned, his eye contact should have been, involved. He should have involved the other members also. He was concentrating or focusing only on the member who had asked him raised the question. The other panelists should also have been included. I think that's all.
Okay, having listened to the three of you and your views, I would agree that he has a good, impressive personality. He was fairly confident and composed. He could handle pressure very well. His communication skills were good. Posture was good, but then hand gestures were okay, normal, but eye contact, I agree with the two of you, he should have engaged the four of us. But on a number of issues, he was able to engage the panel very well. 2-3-4 जगह पे उसने एक गलतियाँ ऐसी की हैं जो अवॉइडेबल थी. मतलब I was surprised that a boy of his level he forgot the stakeholders in Afghanistan. तालिबान का उसने नाम ही नहीं लिया and he had to be prompted. शुरू में मैंने नोट किया था, at least when he was talking to me, he was using the word domain again and again. बाद में ठीक हो गया था वो. And I found him in the beginning to be a little bit nervous. That is probably why he was fumbling with words and using the word domain. He settled down as the interview progressed. But the only negative thing I observed in him after all that has been discussed, he was speaking a bit too fast. I always advise the candidates, there is no hurry. Please do not rush your words. Listen to the question carefully and then try to answer it. In rushing his answer,